as we kind of continue to say, we're in this era now where it could be the end of the supremacy of the comic book movie genre or the comic book television genre piece, right? That's just a reality out there. That's a thing. Well, one of the shows over the past couple of years that I thought was a standout in a sea of other types of franchises, other types of content, trying to make a name for itself, and I'm talking about One Piece. One Piece. Now, I'm curious, man. How many of you guys out there in the chat, how many of y'all have watched the live-action One Piece on Netflix? Throw a 1 into the chat if you have. If you have not, you will still find this segment interesting because this show was a smash hit. Oh, we got a ton of 1s in there. I'd love to see it. This show was a smash hit, and the show broke the curse. I'm talking about the curse. Anime fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Normie fans, let me break it down for you. Maybe you've heard, but anime is very popular. It is incredibly popular. Anime and manga, absolutely crushing it. Has been for some time. Okay? People love anime. People love manga. However, anime and manga has never been able to be adapted into live action well. It basically just can't happen. And people call it the curse, the live action curse. And some people call it the live action Netflix curse because, goddamn, Netflix has done some pretty rough adaptations. One Piece was the show that broke that curse. And what a show to break the curse on. Because if you don't know shit about One Piece, it has sold 40 million copies of its comic or of its manga in its history. 40 million plus copies of that thing sold. It is one of the most published, prolific mangas of all time. I think it has over 1,100 chapters to date. It is the longest ongoing manga series. Maybe not the, but one of the longest ongoing manga series ever. It is absolutely beloved. It is called, it is in what is known as the Big Three. The big 3 mangas and shonen that were ever created. It holds an incredible place in that space. Everybody there knows of One Piece. Not everybody loves One Piece, but a lot of people do. So One Piece, maybe one of the most valuable IPs on the planet. And so what a time to get it right with season 1 of One Piece. I loved it. I thought it was a revelation. It caused me to go back and watch more of the actual anime, and just a massive, massive fucking success for Netflix. So I want to show you a couple of things because we had a Netflix presentation over the weekend called To Dumb, and at To Dumb, they revealed the first look at a beloved character for the series known as Tony Choppa. One Piece fans know this is a big fucking deal. What was Tony gonna look like? I'm happy to report they absolutely nailed it. Let's pull this up. We can watch this reveal together. And then I want to break down some of the announcements, some of the other info we have about the show. It's not all good
Chopper,
news, unfortunately.
You're hiding the wrong way. We can all see you. Chopper, come out.
Hi, Doom. My name is Tony Chopper, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but oh, I'm supposed to tell you.
All right, I'm gonna stop there because we might get copyright struck. I don't know how Netflix handles this, but this is fucking perfect, dude. I have seen a lot of love, a lot of praise from the community, from the fans of One Piece about this. This is a really important character that people were quite worried about because he's literally like a little moose monster thing. And goddamn, they nailed it. The CGI looks incredible. Probably really expensive, but he looks incredible, okay? This is such a big deal. I mean, we live in an era where James Gunn is trying to sell Superman off crypto. Star Wars is being sold to you with Grogu. that's just what it is. These cute little merchandisable characters are a big, big deal. And they nailed it with Chopper here. So that is huge, and fans are really excited. Now, here's the thing. It's not all good news for the One Piece show. I have some concerns, and I want to talk about some of the things going on behind the scenes. They did announce that the second season would be coming in 2026, and that's great. However, and maybe some of you guys already know about this, the showrunner from season 2 has left the show. This is a man named Matt Owens, and he left the show technically before they even finished the post-production on it. Okay? Now, he had a big post on social media. He talked about like his mental health. He had been working on the first 2 seasons for like 6 years. He was co-showrunner with another showrunner that left in season 1. And so, yeah, obviously that's kind of a concern when these things happen. Now, Oda, who is the mangaka, the guy that wrote the original thing, the guy that created it, kind of like the Stan Lee of One Piece or whatever, right? Oda, he does have a contract with Netflix, and from what I understand, they did do reshoots in the first season because of Oda's feedback, which is huge. Okay, and I'm bringing this up because although we lose the showrunner, there's hope, of course, that they are still going to nail this thing. Again, for all the reasons I talked about, it's massive. It's one of the biggest IP on the planet. It broke the curse. It's a huge opportunity for Netflix. So I was encouraged to hear that they listened to Oda and they did reshoots for season 1. Now, classically, when Cowboy Bebop was being adapted, they did not listen to Watanabe. So they did not listen to they did it bad on Cowboy Bebop. They did it good on One Piece. Now, my take on this is sort of an industry thing. You can kind of see this happening across the industry. I've brought this up with the other video game shows. So The Last of Us gets Neil Druckmann. Fallout gets Todd Howard. Like, you're starting to see Hollywood. The Mario movie had... is it Miyazaki? I forget his name. I'm blanking on his name. But either way, they get the actual creators, the people that were involved in the other versions of it that were successful, and they have them to help with the live action version. This is proven to be a very successful formula. I think the studios, because like studios are not, like they're not very smart, but they can at least follow the money. So the more that those projects that sort of courted the actual creators, the more those became successful, the more the studios would pay attention to that as an option. And so I say all of that to say Oda is still involved. He has this contract. But from what I understand, it is not as though Netflix is obligated to listen to him. And I need to bring up a couple of things that make me a little bit uncomfortable, okay? So, and we're getting into the weeds here, okay? So if you don't know shit about this show or, you might not be able to follow some of this, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping it light and accessible for those of you that maybe aren't familiar. I think so far you're on the same page. Well, let me tell you a couple of things going on here. Unfortunately, the last 2 episodes of the first season came under a lot of scrutiny from the fans. And it happens to be the case that we've now found out that the editing for those last 2 episodes was done without the showrunners. It was without Matt Owens, and it was without the gentleman that was the co-showrunner in season 1. And that's a little bit worrying because Matt Owens was not there in season 2 for the post-production work. He had this like mental health thing. He just needed to get away, so he's gone. So you can see how, just looking at the first season, you look at those last 2 episodes, and it's just like big moments from the manga that were cut. Usopp had some moments that were cut. The pacing was just a little bit whack compared to the earlier episodes. And so that's a little bit of a red flag. Something else that's kind of weird is they seem to be slowing down as far as the actual amount of chapters that they are adapting. So they adapted 95 manga chapters for season 1. Holy shit, right? But they're only adapting 59 manga chapters for season 2. The reports are that season 2 will have 7 episodes rather than 8. And apparently a large chunk of those 59 episodes, which all have to do with Chopper and the island when they find him, if you've read it or you've watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's only in 2 episodes, the last 2 episodes. So, Maimoto, thank you, Funky. You can see some of the potential problems here. Now, man, this is such a weird one because our hopes and dreams fly with you, One Piece. You broke the curse. You did what we never thought could be done. And you've literally forged a path forward for other great manga to have similar adaptations. Oh my God, the show is so important, not just for fans of One Piece, but for manga fans in general. This is so important. And so you start to stack up some of these negative things here, and it's concerning to say the least. We are getting 1 less episode. We lost a showrunner. We are adapting about 30 less chapters. Do you see what I mean? So I think there's reasons to be concerned. However, we're looking at Tony Chopper here, right here, and he looks phenomenal. So hopefully, they have, because they've got the new showrunner in. He's sort of new, but, you know, you have Oda's involvement. You have a lot of the same people, the cast, and I think they understand how important it is. By the way, brilliantly cast. Absolutely love the cast of this show. And so, man, I want this thing to be good so badly. I kind of have a feeling that the reason it's going into 2026 is because of some of the things we're talking about right now. So you're sort of seeing maybe a push, working more on all of that. And man, oh man, there's just a lot on the line here. You know, unfortunately, reminds me a little bit of House of the Dragon, which from season 1 to season 2, you know, we still have Ryan Connolly, but we lose out on Miguel Sapochnik. And Miguel Sapochnik is that fucking guy, bro. And you could tell. Like, I'm sorry, second season of House of the Dragon, a little bit whack. I enjoyed it at the time, but I do remember kind of saying every week, like, yeah, but when are we going to get going here? And I just felt like the pacing was whack in season 2. It didn't kill the show, but kind of took it from being like this emerging phenomenon into like, okay, what are we doing here? I hope it gets better kind of a thing. So a lot of hope riding on One Piece season 2, a lot of potential reasons to be concerned here. And we're just gonna have to wait and see. This looks incredible. Tony looks incredible. The little teasers and whatnot that they've put together looks incredible. I will follow up more with this as more stuff comes out. But I know this is something that people really care about, and I know it's something I really care about. And I'm hopeful when we get into 2026, this show lights it up. We'll see. You know, it's on Netflix to try to figure this out. You know, it's one last thing I'll say on this. You know, I was having a discussion with my wife about this morning, and you know, look, we love One Piece, bro. You know what I mean? And so she was pouring the cope. You know what I mean? She couldn't take some of the things that I was saying. You know what I mean? I told her, I was like, you're acting like chat right now, because she was like, no, this, that, you know, and I get it. But the only problem is like Netflix is like a $bajillion company. They could fuck One Piece up and it will really not matter to them. That sucks. You know, like that's tough. You know, it's like the opposite of Warner Bros. Right now. Warner Bros. Putting everything they have into Superman because they're kind of fucked if Superman flops. Netflix could fuck up One Piece and it will literally affect them like not at all. You know what I mean? So that sucks because you would like to know. Or rather, it would feel better if you felt like Netflix really understood. Like as a manga and anime fan, like I can't. Like they broke the fucking curse, dude. Like please don't fuck this up. Like you did something that people thought was impossible. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next. We'll see where we go from there. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.